Honored community rabbis of renewal, um, appreciated donors and their families, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Before I go into my remarks, because my partner Gary wanted to make sure that we all express our karatotov to certain people who made this amazing event happen. Of course, and you'll learn more about Renewal as we go through the program. Thank you, Renewal, for coming to the Lower East Side. Thank you for all the shuls and organizations of Lower East Side that put out the word with the flyers. Thank you to the Ambrose and Shulman families that were part of this process. Thank you to Hondo Abramowitz, Aaron Goldman, Betsy Jacobson, and all the different staff members of the different organizations and shuls that got the word out for this event. To fully gauge how priceless altruistic kidney donation is, let us look at the Torah obligation of kibbud av v'em. Emotionally, this mitzvah is seemingly a natural expression of our profound gratitude to our parents in partnership with God for giving us the greatest present, i.e., our very presence, or our lives. Paraphrasing the refrain from the Haggadah's Dayenu song, were this the only act our parents ever did for us, we could never do enough to ever repay our parents for bringing us into the world. Halakhically, our obligation to honor our parents for giving us life can never be discharged, nor can we ever invoke the doctrine of impossibility of performance. Why? Because our parents gave us the greatest present. In a similar vein, we Jews are always giving presents or gifts. Besides performing ritual mitzvos, we must also perform interpersonal mitzvos, which in substantial part requires us to be givers, to give more charity, to do more chesed, to be more responsive to the never-ending appeals for money, goods, and services, both within and without the Jewish communities where we reside and throughout the world. Against this backdrop, we are mindful of the famous Mishnah in Sanhedrin, which states that when one saves a life, it is considered as if that person saved a world. But let's be frank, most of us do not wake up in the morning and decide to give a kidney to a total stranger. Thus, I stand here overwhelmed with profound gratitude to God and to Avraham Eliezer Friedman, an authentic Torah-observant IT professional from North Miami Beach, and a 32-year-old father of 4 beautiful children who, through the amazing Renewal organization, altruistically donated his kidney to a total stranger, no stranger to me, my youngest and beautiful daughter, Meira. How could he ever be repaid for giving this greatest present and saving Meira's world? Avram Eliezer, whose wonderful grandparents, Mr. and Mrs. Jack Friedman, Kabbalah L'chaim Tovim, have joined us this morning. Good friends, Rabbi Gary Ambrose and Hannah Bailiff Friedman, as well as Aviva Keller-Ney, the daughter of good friends Kenny and Eileen Keller, are members of a unique league of heroes. These unassuming heroes never took their gift of life for granted, and because they were collectively grateful for their own lives and good health, they answered to an inner calling to fulfill an exceedingly rare act of chesed by donating a kidney and giving the greatest present of life to another. My friends, in raising the awareness of the important mitzvah of altruistic kidney donation, I want to briefly share what it's like for family members of a potential recipient. Parenthetically, as supportive and empathetic a family may be to the plight of a loved one in need of a kidney to survive and renew the life that person had before suffering end-stage renal failure, no one can really know what it is like for a potential recipient to deal with this systemic and potentially fatal medical condition at every waking moment. God willing, Meira will give you a brief take of her world before her miracle occurred on April 17, 2018. Despite having Amunas Hashem, being mispalel and daily reciting Tehillim, for us Shulmans, it was a time of fear, helplessness, and frustration. Like the motto of the 19th century Alexander Dumas' Three Musketeers, we were all for one and one for all, in being with and for Meira during her constant doctor visits, emergency room runs, hospitalizations, and daily dialysis treatments. But Meira needed much more than family support. At this juncture, I want to give a shout out thanking our amazing Lower East Side Hatzalah volunteers. Some who are here who responded whenever we called, regardless of the day or hour, and Baruch Hashem avoided a number of close calls. Several years ago, Meira was listed in the National Organ Registry and was ostensibly placed high up on the list at Mount Sinai Medical Center and Johns Hopkins Hospital. Nonetheless, the days, weeks, months, and years passed as we waited 24/7 for that telephone call to tell us of a potential cadaver donor. There were calls few and far between, which temporarily raised our hopes. And I must confess that while I prayed to Hashem to deliver a refuah, I just could not bring myself to wish someone would die so that my daughter could get a kidney. I recently read a blog post and learned that there are over 100,000 patients awaiting a kidney transplant in the United States. Over 16,000 patients a year receive a donation, about 5,500 from living donors and the rest from cadavers. Those are startling statistics. There had to be a better way. A little more than a year ago, Meira's nephrologist urged us to consider turning to Renewal for help. We filed an application and made an appointment in January of 2018. Meira and I met with transplant recipient coordinator Vicki Gutman and various Renewal rabbis, including the executive director, Rabbi Chaim Steinmetz. Renewal discussed how we, Meira's family, could do our hishtadlus to get the word out to the world that Meira needed a kidney. And this appears to be the roadmap for a donor campaign all potential recipients should follow to some degree. During that first meeting, Mrs. Gutman talked about a swap arrangement. Would I or a family member, obviously no matches for Meira, be willing to register and donate a kidney to a total stranger, which would put Meira high up on the national registry? Sure, there was no question that if I was a match, I would have given Meira a kidney. However, unlike the hero donors here this morning, donating a kidney per se was never on my bucket list of things to accomplish during my lifetime. Yet, I had to let potential donors know that I was willing to do for others what I wanted them to do for Meira. And I agreed to test for a swap. Back to our kidney donation campaign. Meira was adamant about maintaining her privacy. Thus, I had to draft an appeal letter that would appeal to Jews around the world to want to donate their kidney to an anonymous 28-year-old. How were they able to pull this off? I turned to Rebbetzin Sheila Feinstein, Zichrona Levracha, who reviewed and revised my letter. The Rebbetzin also arranged to have the letter typed on the letterhead of the Masista of Staten Island, Rosh Yeshiva Harav Ruven Feinstein Shlita, and two Gedolei Hador, Harav David Feinstein Shlita and Harav Ruven, signed their names in support of our campaign. Renewal then took this letter and created a copy-ready flyer with contact information to be disseminated on the internet and in various print media. Rabbi Pinchas Lipschitz, editor and publisher of the popular Yated Ne'eman, donated a full page to print this flyer. Hamodia and other Jewish newspapers donated ad space. And through the assistance of our extended family, friends, and acquaintances, synagogues and Jewish organization websites throughout the United States, Canada, and Israel posted our Renewal appeal letter. Rabbis in different communities spoke about our anonymous appeal from their pulpits, including the renowned Rabbi Kellemer of the Young Israel West Hempstead. I have been informed that as a result of this campaign, over 1,000 individuals registered to be tested, and almost all of them are unknown to us. We did learn that a handful of these potential donors included extended family members, friends and neighbors here on the Lower East Side, the amazing Hannah Friedman, and a recent donor who joined us this morning with her family and her daughter Abigail. The outpouring of chesed was truly overwhelming for Meira and us. But I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Meira's donor did not respond to our campaign and probably never saw our letter. He was already registered with Renewal as a potential donor for several years. Well, God runs the world. By merely registering with Renewal last January, it set into motion a Purim story-like process for Meira to find her perfect match with Avram Eliezer. And it was win-win campaign overall because the amazing Renewal organization gained many new potential donor registrants. On Tuesday morning, April 17, 2018, sometime before 7:30 a.m., I, Adina, Meira's sister, and Meira were in the Mount Sinai preoperative holding area. There were numerous surgeons, anesthesiologists, nurses, and other support staff dealing with many patients waiting to be wheeled to their respective operating theaters. Meira half-jokingly quipped, "Hey, Dad, look around and see if you can spot my donor." I looked at her incredulously and rhetorically questioned, "Are you serious?" Suddenly, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a young person in front of us on a gurney wearing a big velvet yarmulke and a big smile, being wheeled out of the holding area. Rabbi Menachem Friedman, a Renewal coordinator, came over and advised the three of us that the young man was Meira's donor. Right before Meira was wheeled out, the rabbi played an unedited version of a video he recorded on his cell phone of Avram Eliezer giving words of chizuk and bracha to the soon-to-be anonymous recipient. My friends, watching this video may not have been as spiritually uplifting as being at the kotel reciting the Shemona Esrei at Basikin, but it came pretty close. Thank you, Renewal, for sponsoring this awareness program and brunch and publicly acknowledging our donor heroes. And thank you for allowing me to share our family story. Perhaps one of you will be inspired to give this greatest present, which, with God's help and the transplant surgical team, will enable a potential recipient to survive and experience a life of renewal, a life of health, simcha, and nachas. In performing this extraordinary act of chesed, as Harav Ruvain concluded in our renewal appeal letter, you will be zocheh to all of the brachas of the Torah. Thank you.